if you own an RV, specifically an RV that's got propane in it, which most RVs have propane in them today, you're going to have an alarm system in it for it. And if it's for a, I don't know if you can see that or not, if it's one of these types of propane detectors, this particular one is the 40 series made by Safety Alert. You probably don't know that it's actually got an expiration period to it. And that expiration period is based upon the date of manufacture, not the date that you pick up your RV. As was the case with us, we've had our Tiger Adventure vehicle now, I'm going to say, about two years this coming November. Now, granted, it was a 2018 in a 2017 model year. The propane detector that we purchased was fine until about 4 months ago. It started to beep every once in a while, and if you haven't ever heard, it's like a fire detector when it goes off. It's got that shrilly kind of beep to it that you know, if you're brushing your teeth, you almost put your toothbrush through the side of your mouth when you hear the thing. And it would happen just arbitrarily at any given time. At first it was just, you know, we'd run the generator and it would go off, and we thought maybe it was the exhaust fumes from that. But then one day we were driving, and we were driving through the city, and boom, it would go off, just a couple of beeps, maybe one every 15 seconds, and then it would stop. So my wife, having better eyes than I had, she went back and read the bottom of it, and of course there's a LED indicator light with it too. So you not only hear the beep, but if you look back at it, there'd be a little LED that would flash. Green would be means that it's on, that it's got power to it, which it always should have. Red means there was in fact an alarm. Red and green together means there's a fault. Red or green EOL. I don't know what EOL stands for, but I think it means it's time to can it. So it got to the point where I got sick and tired of it, to be honest with you. I mean, we were driving somewhere and it would go off, and usually it's, you know, it would go off 2 or 3 times and that would be the end of it. But John was like, I'm fed up with it. Knew that, you know, after a certain period of time, you know, that we probably had to replace it, that it was going bad, maybe through dust contamination or whatever. Tried blowing it off. It didn't make any difference. So I came back and I basically, well, let me move the camera so I can show you. I took the 2 screws out that were here, and I pulled the cushion off to check out the wiring situation. The wires were kind of buried, so I basically diked off the wires pretty close like that, knowing that it would give me a little bit more wire to work with for the new alarm. But what I want to show you is, I don't know if you can see it, I hope you really can see this. Let's see how much this will focus here. Right there is the date, August 30th, 2016. So these are supposed to be good for 60 months or so, and I'm going to try to get some credit for it. And I'll put a link down below as to where you can get these. And don't forget, this is for a model 40-442-P. And then it's all listed here on the back of it, right next to the date. It says it's a 90 milliamp 12 volt DC unit. Okay, it's just a pretty standard unit. That's about the size of it. I'll measure it and put the dimensions down below, but pretty much they all come this way. Now, just because the other item down here was black, this is my generator controller. Instead of having a white one, I ordered a brown one. So this is the new one. And notice it's got a good deal of wire to it. It's the same model number listed here. And the date on this one is March 25th, 2019. So in theory, from 60 months from this date of manufacture, that's when I'm supposed to replace it as a minimum if it lasts that long. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to use these. I haven't used these before. These sort of solderable shrink connectors. And basically what you do is you put, you know, a little bit of a strip wire in from both sides, and you heat up the whole tube here. It shrinks on each end, and then there's a tiny piece of solder in the middle. And I tried it already on the wire, on another section of wire. It's hard to see here, but the red one coming in here and the black one coming in here, and then of course there's a solder joint in the middle. But I used a larger one, and it took a lot of heat to heat it up, so I'm going to go for a smaller one. What's weird is on these tubes, at least the small ones anyway, there's a one diameter is just a tiny bit narrower than the other diameter, and I don't know why, but anyway, we're going to do that, put a little heat shrink on top of it, and we'll see how it comes out. Okay, maybe I figured out when I mentioned before that these are a little narrower on one end than they are the other. It could be because if you lubricate them a little bit, they do slide on pretty easy, but they're very tight. But it might just keep them, it might just be because if you put them on there, then you can work the wires without having them, you know, falling off or whatever. So I think that's pretty cool. We'll see how it works out. Make sure I got it right side up here. Put it in there like so. All right, I'm just going to put a couple of screws in there, just kind of loose. Nothing too permanent yet. But I'm going pretty quick. Well, it's a perfect fit anyway. All right, let's see what the top side looks like. All right, we're looking down underneath the seat where the wires come through, and you can see I've got the connectors on, like I said, and I had the foresight to put some heat shrink tubing over them, color coordinated. So we're going to leave those down here, and I've stripped the other wires from the power source, but now I got to turn the power off, so it's going to get a little darker in here. So I'm going to shut the main off, so I won't have too many lights, but I'll try to do this a little bit with a flashlight. So I'm just going to put these together as such. Now that might be a little bit on the long side, but we'll see how it goes together. It didn't want to go together real well. I'm going to clip those a little bit. The way it looks, you need about like 1/8 of an inch. And that's about it. And then they butt together. And I think to a greater degree they probably mesh together. You put a little heat to it, so give me a minute and I'll get you some heat. Alright. So, unlike when I was doing this out here, you just got to keep from burning the, we'll see how it goes. There's the solders going now. I'll just let that cool a little bit. It gets pretty flimsy. All right, that seems to be cooled down a little bit, so I'm just going to reheat the end of this a little bit. I'll let that sit for a minute. I'm going to turn you off. It's pretty cool. I'm just going to put the heat shrink over the top of it. And a little bit here and there. Yeah. If you can see that better. And it feels pretty solid. Okay, we'll do the other one, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, I got both wires done. We'll see how it does when it cools off. They're still a little warm yet. We'll kind of tie things out of the way, I think, if we can. And we'll put the power on, see how it goes. Alright, there it is, all installed. You can see the green light on it. When I first turned the power back on, it blinked for a while. And that's probably because it's just running probably a test, a bite test of its own. And now it's on steady, which means it's normal, and we have power to it. And this is what we heard pretty much when you test it. That's what we heard out of the blue, sometimes for no apparent reason. That was a good indication it was going bad. Okay, well, I hope this video was a bit informative. Don't forget to check the date on the back of these things. Give yourself about 60 months. I'll put a link to Amazon down below as to the unit that I bought, and the price, I think it was about $59 plus shipping. All right, so until next time, take care, stay safe. Hasta la vista.